Welcome back. Billions of people across the world are preparing to celebrate Christmas this Wednesday. I sat down with the Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, in an exclusive interview at New York's historic St. Patrick's Cathedral about the message of hope for the year ahead and resiliency during difficult times.
Let's sum it all up, Maria, in one word. Darkness. Darkness. A lot of darkness in the world, okay? We see it. Look, we see it in our city. We see it in our country, we see it in the world. We got to admit we even see it in ourselves because we know we got a lot of light and some darkness. We see it sometimes in our families with the tension and the worries we got. And interestingly enough, we see it outside because this is the darkest time of the year, right? Which is why Christmas is here, because Christmas celebrates the resurrection of the light. Christmas Eve, Pope Francis will open the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica that's closed except every 25 years for a jubilee year, a holy year. And he's asked it to be remembered as a year of hope. He's right on target. We need it.
What do you do to get that hope?
Yeah, we also, again, we can't be naive. We have to, I hear a lot of people say, I lost my hope. Help me out here. I lost my hope. I really need a little Christmas right this very moment. We might have it tough. We might have it difficult. But I don't need to get wrapped up inside. I need to go out. Okay, what's the first thing the angel said in the fields of Bethlehem to the shepherds who were scared, silly? The angel said, don't stick around here, go to Bethlehem. Kind of get out of yourself and your worries and your travails. Go to Bethlehem. The Lord's always inviting us to go out of ourselves. That gives us hope.
And give to others. That's such a beautiful sentiment.
You got it.
How do you come up with your theme for Midnight Mass? What will the theme be?
What am I going to preach about at Midnight Mass? Because a lot of people listen and wait. So the first thing you always do, we do as preachers, is to go to God's Word in the Bible. So you will go to the readings from the Bible for Midnight Mass. And you'll read them, and you'll mull over them, and you'll let them sink in. You'll kind of bake a Christmas casserole here. And sooner or later, ideas will come. Now, I just mentioned to you when I was talking about the triumph of the light, and that this is, Christmas is the festival of lights, and also as is Hanukkah, which we're celebrating together this year. So I'm going to speak about the light.
Let me get your take on how Paris was. You were just back from Notre Dame.
Talk about Paris, which they call the city of lights.
Yes.
I've never seen a city so beautifully illuminated for Christmas as Paris was. Now, I don't know if it was just special for the rededication of Notre Dame, but here again, and wise would be the preacher who might bring this in to their Christmas homily. So what happened after Palm Sunday 4.5 years ago? France said, this ain't going to stand. This is our symbol of hope and love and God's presence among us. And there was a national crusade, kind of international, which is why I was invited, because great New Yorkers came forward and said to me, we want to raise some money to send to the Archbishop of Paris to reconstruct Notre Dame. We're not going to let these charred remains remind us of what could be or what used to be. We're going to rebuild. And Maria, it was dazzling. The Archbishop knocked on the door, all right, and as the doors came open, the bells rang and the cathedral was illuminated. And you could hear from every apartment in Paris cheers going up. You knew people were watching. Wow. And they were cheering. And I thought, wow, you talk about a pep rally for hope. That's what this reconstruction of Notre Dame did for all of us.
The last time we were together was at the Al Smith dinner.
Glad you were there.
For hosting
Thanks for being there.
On the day.
You're one of our loyalists.
It was an incredible night once again, and it was clean fun.
It was good fun. Even the president kind of behaved. Right?
Yeah, and you saw him in Notre Dame as well.
I saw he was there in the front row.
Yeah.
Next to Macron. A lot of world leaders were there.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm not going to pass up this chance. So when I was kind of one of the cabooses at the end of the procession. So when I got up there, I thanked President Macron because he had hosted us the night before, the American donors. And then I said to the president, nice to see you somewhere besides Fifth Avenue. So, and on the way out, I got to greet him again. So I was thrilled he was there.
It was really nice to see that Americans were the biggest foreign donors.
Is that great?
To Notre Dame.
Is that great? Now,
Yeah.
the president of France teased me. I said, we love doing this in the United States. He said, well, you still owe us some for the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
He was teasing. He was immensely grateful to us.
I think more people now are turning to faith than ever before.
They say that, and I am so happy to hear that. Now, and what I'm happy to see, Maria, is that, what shall I say, experts and scholars who are not religiously driven are finding this out. They say, sales of the Bible, sales of books on spirituality are going up. And there seems to be a newfound appreciation for the role of faith, especially in our country, okay? I think President Trump tapped into that, don't you?
I do.
I mean, I've had talks with him before in the past where he's pretty blunt about, he can't say that he was raised as a very zealous Christian, but he takes his Christian faith seriously. He has a lot of memories about Norman Vincent Peale, the famous preacher here in New York, down a ways on Fifth Avenue. And I think he means it, and I think the assassination attempts kind of renewed in him, there's something beyond me that I think is watching over me and has got a task for me. And what he expresses personally seems to be expressed more and more throughout the world. And that's part of America.
It's hard to explain, though, if it wasn't an act of God. I mean, President Trump, 2 assassination attempts, and one of them because he went like this, and it just missed him.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain other than it was God's work.
Yeah, I think of, Maria, I think of Ronald Reagan and John Paul II. Both survived assassination attempts very close to one another. And when the two of them met for the first time, Ronald Reagan said to Pope St. John Paul II, Mother Teresa told me that she thinks the Lord spared me because the Lord has something special in mind for me. And Pope St. John Paul II smiled and said, she told me the same thing. And they both believed that. And look what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah.
The world was changed. The world was changed for the better because of them.
I mean, there seems to be a movement underway to acknowledge how powerful and important our faith is.
Yes, yeah. And what it is, I think, is Americans are good at reacting to tired caricatures. You know what I mean? I think we saw that in the last election.
Yep.
And one of the caricatures that seemed to overtake American culture was that religion was superstitious at best, toxic at worst. And if somebody was so weak that they needed religion, okay, that's fine for an hour on the Sabbath, but don't bring it into the public square. Don't bring it into it's private. And we know in the United States that religion, it's personal, but it's never private, because what we profess as people of faith, we bring graciously, humbly, lovingly to the public square. So that caricature of religion being nasty and destructive and harmful and antiquated, I think Americans are saying, we don't like that caricature.
So what do you want to say to people who don't or may not understand the Catholic Church? What do people not understand about the Church?
Well, there's stuff I don't understand about it. And I've been a lifelong Catholic, and I'm a Cardinal, because the Church is always shrouded in mystery, all right? There's always some question marks when it comes to faith. There's question marks when it comes to religion. There's question marks that come to the Church. But of course, we want to replace those question marks with exclamation marks. And that's what the Church does.
My thanks to the Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan. I was so happy to see Jimmy Lai's sketch there.